Evening, everyone. I am Katie. Welcome to Jazz, Joanna, the Spiritist Society. Who is new today? Anyone? Okay, welcome. You guys speak English? Okay, good enough? Okay, very good. So today I'll be talking about what we just heard Mirchi's read in this book, Our Daily Bread, chapter 29, called The Vineyard by Chico Xavier. And let me put my presentation on here. And so let me ask you guys, who has ever been to a vineyard before? Anyone? Napa maybe? Yeah? Somewhere? Yeah? So it's actually a trick question because actually we are all in the vineyard of Jesus. You guys have all been to a vineyard before. So what do I mean by that if you guys are all in the vineyard? So for us to answer that question, I'm actually going to go through the parable. Where's that? Right here. The parable of the workers in the vineyard, also called the workers of the last hour. Who knows this parable? Maybe kind of remember. Okay, so we're going to have a little fun, and we're going to reenact this parable so we can kind of remember what it is. So it goes like this. So there was a worker, a master of a vineyard, okay? That would be me. Pretend I'm in the Jesus time, like this guy's out here. I like to have fun, guys, so this is fun, okay? So here there is this master of this huge vineyard, and he needs help with his vineyard because he needs lots of people to maintain his vineyard, okay? So he goes out into the village and he says, hey, who wants to go and work in my vineyard? I will give you 1 denario. Here we are using, monopoly money here. So I will give you 1 denario a day to come and work in my vineyard. And at that time, this wage is actually very good because it was the same wage that a Roman soldier would get. So it's very good for just a common laborer in the vineyard, right? So he goes, 6 a.m. Who would like to come and work in my vineyard? You would. Come on over here. Come stand up here. Come on, just stand. 6 o'clock, nice and early. So here she is, working in the vineyard, okay? And again, 8 a.m. I go into the village. Who wants to come and work in my vineyard for 1 denario? Who wants to come? Just stand up here. Anyone? Just stand up here. Work, okay? And then the rest of the hours, he doesn't exactly specify how much they're going to get paid. He just says, I'm going to pay you whatever is right. So he goes, who wants to go and work 11 a.m.? Anyone? Good. There we go, work. And then again at 2 p.m. Who wants to come up here? And then the very last hour of the day, 4 o'clock. Who wants to come work at 4 o'clock for 1 hour? There we go. Let's try to get in order, though. Let's try to get 6, 8. Here, you're like over here. There. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so as promised, he goes, 5 o'clock, it's time to pay people. So he starts with the people at the last hour, actually. Daisy, good job. 1 denario. And then Mirchi's over here is like, ooh, I've been working longer than her. I'm so going to get more than her. What happens? What happens? Same for everyone. Same for everyone. And then Mirchi's complains. Hey, I've been here all day. And I get the same as Daisy, who's only been here for 1 hour. What's up with that? So let's learn a little bit. Can you guys please put your things here, please, so we can have a reference for people who come later. Go ahead and put your thing here. 6, 8, 11. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. So 8. So that's our parable. Reviewing what we're going to be talking about today. Thank you, workers. So going over some of the symbols here. Whoops. They're fighting. They're fighting. 6, 8, 11, 2. Okay, yeah, there's only 5 hours of workers, apparently. So continuing here as they work away, the summary kind of this parable is, he told them, you also go and work in my vineyard and I will pay you whatever is right. So they went. And so you can find this in Matthew. And so let's look at the symbols here. What do you guys think work means? What does work mean in our real life here? What kind of work? What kind of work? Are we talking only about physical work? No, we're talking about what?
Spiritual work.
Yeah, we're going to reform, maybe knowing the divine laws and practice them, put them into our lives. So this is really more of the symbol of what we're going to be talking about today, not just physically working in the vineyard, but actually are in a reform. What do you guys think the vineyard is? Where is that?
Earth.
Earth? Yes, earth. Anywhere, everywhere. In the car, at school, at work, at Target, anywhere you go, you're in the vineyard of Jesus, okay? And what about the payment? What do you guys think the payment is? Anyone else? So this one's actually kind of hard for us to think about too. I was looking at this book, so I really recommend you guys. This is a book only available in Portuguese, Therapeutic Parables. Illyrio actually has several parables in here that he goes and he dissects and he lets us know really good explanations. I really recommend you guys to read this. Payment is actually a feeling. It's a feeling of a job well done, of a duty accomplished with enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude. And then you have this really good feeling of a job well done and your conscience is free. So that's why everyone had the same payment. It doesn't matter if you come at 4 o'clock, if you come at 6 o'clock. If you work with enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude, you're going to have that feeling of a clear conscience. And the last one, who's they? Us. Okay? Especially the last hour, because we refuse, the people who come at the last hour at 4 o'clock, because they refuse to come during the other times because they were lazy. That's actually us. We were lazy. Oh, we don't want to work, so we're going to come at 4 o'clock. So it's really our last opportunity if you think about it, because the world is going to a world of regeneration. So it's like the last hour. It's kind of like for us to remember to think that this is the opportunity that we have to use it wisely. Who's this? Waldo. So Waldo is one out of many, many, many people. So it's kind of like many are invited, but few are chosen, right? So few are actually the ones who go and work, by the way, with enthusiasm. We're working a lot today. Where am I at? Enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude. So Waldo is one of few. I mean, of very, very many. So we want to be like Waldo. We want to be that one in many, many, many people who work a lot, because this is the last hour and we really want to do our best. And then you may say to yourself, well, I work a lot. I go to work and I work like 10 hours a day. I come home. I still, hang out with my kids. I help them with their homework. I work a lot. So I'm doing a very good job. Is that so? Is it just the physical monetary work that we're talking about here? No. So, honey, can you read this for me? Oh, it's here and not here. So go ahead, read.
Are the rich exempt from the law of labor?
So this is from the Spirit's book. So if you work, 10 hours a day and you're just working, you come home and you sleep and you work really hard, or if you work and you're already rich, you don't need to work. Is that all we need to be doing in the Vineyard of Jesus? No. Claudine, can you read?
From material labor, perhaps, but not from the obligation of being useful to his fellow creatures and of developing his own intelligence and morals and that of others.
Right, so we also have our duty to develop our morals and to also help other people. So it's not enough to just go work every day and provide for your family. Unfortunately, that's not all we have to do. So what are we going to do? What does this book invite us to do? It invites us to do to develop 3 virtues for us to what? To work in the Vineyard of Jesus with enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude, so that way we can what? That feeling of a clear conscience, okay? So that's what we're working for, is to get that feeling of a clear conscience. And the book recommends us to develop 3 virtues to acquire that. And we have perseverance, humbleness, and faith. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, for us to try to work a little bit better in the Vineyard of Jesus. And then we will have our conclusion. So perseverance. Always remembering this part there, enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude. What vices do we develop when we don't practice the virtue of perseverance? So for us to understand what perseverance is, first let's talk about what it's not. So what is the opposite of perseverance? Anyone? Laziness? Give up? Anyone else? Excuses. Indifference, like I don't care. So very good.
Somebody said something.
What? Pessimism, very good. So there's lots of vices that we develop when we don't focus on perseverance. So I'm going to be focusing on laziness, as Bruno just said. So laziness, so what things should we avoid pretty much? So asking ourselves, are we working efficiently and effectively, utilizing all of our talents given by God during both work time and free time? So let's say you're at work and you have like 12 coffee breaks a day. Or you look at your Facebook like 22 times a day. So, where is work and where is laziness coming in maybe? And then maybe when you get off of work, you just watch TV. And watching TV is good because why? Because we have the law of labor and we also have the law of rest, which is very important. But there's also a limit. There's kind of you're going to watch TV for, an hour or 2 hours, you're going to watch TV for 6 hours. So there's a limit there between your laziness and maybe your rest. And this is really only in your own conscience. No one can judge it for you, and everyone's laziness and everyone's work and rest is different. So I'm not going to say that you can't watch 2 hours a day. I'm just saying that you are going to know when it starts to become lazy, okay, and when it's rest. Then we have vertical and horizontal lines. So we want to ask ourselves, the things that we're doing in our lives, the activities and the tasks that we're doing, are they adding value to our life? That's the main question we want to ask ourselves. And so we can think about this concept here, which is also very similar to the Spiritist two wings. So who knows? We have the intellectual wing and we have the moral wing. What happens if you only do the intellectual? You're going to find it kind of funny, right? We don't want to do that. So we want to ask ourselves always, are we adding value to our life? So let's take a look at some examples in our life. So right now I'm preparing, or I did prepare this lecture, or you can think about anyone who's preparing a presentation maybe for work. And you can think about horizontally, materially, and intellectually speaking, what am I developing? What skills am I developing? So right now I'm reading, I read a lot of books. So I'm here, I'm reading lots of books. And I'm learning how to do this presentation. This is Prezi, it's a different kind of presentation. You can say I'm learning how some speaking skills, maybe. This is all here. This is all in the material, intellectual. What about up here? What do you guys think? Am I developing anything right now? Depends on me, right? Depends on me. Am I actually putting this into my life? Am I learning how to be perseverant? Am I actually practicing into my life? If I am, then great. But lots of times we just stay here. And we want to always ask ourselves and think, what can I do to develop my virtues? What can I learn from this situation so I can go up towards God? And then another example, who likes bacon? Who likes dessert? I like to make. So funny thing is that this week I was making macaroons. Who likes macaroons? French macaroons, all the different colors. And I had made them 2 other times, and they came out really good. And then this week I made them 3 times, really late, and they all turned out terrible. So, and I actually have an example right here. Very terrible. Look how bumpy and weird they are. Very, very bad. I made them 3 times, they all came out terribly, but they really taste good. That's important, right? But I can't actually present them to anybody. And so I'm probably gonna have to do them a 4th time until they get good. And so thinking, cooking or baking, what am I developing or a person developing horizontally? Maybe you're learning some recipes, which ones work, which ones don't. I mean, maybe when I was a kid, I started to learn how to use a stove.
You get a job.
You can get a job. Anything else? I don't know, I'm learning to perfect the cookies. I wanted to make them yummy and presentable so I can actually give these to somebody, which I can't right now. So these are all here on the horizontal level. And vertically, I like to think that I'm trying to develop the virtue of patience and perseverance. So I'm gonna make them 4 times until they get really yummy. So pretty much, that's an idea that we can always apply and think about how we're using our time. And are we only here? Because we're usually focused just here. So what can we, develop in ourselves in our daily tasks, whether it's at work or whether it's in our free time? More questions about laziness. Do we finish our duties until the end? Are we committed? Let's say you tell your friend you're going to go and help him move on Saturday, And then Saturday morning comes around and you're like, I've had a really long day, work week, and I don't want to go anymore. I just feel like slipping in. And you go and tell them, hey, I can't come anymore. So what part of laziness plays a role in our life that we're not committed to things? So it's very important for us to be committed. Are we taking the easy route? Remembering the last will be first. So if, I don't know, this month, several people have told me that I'm stubborn in many different situations. I could reflect on that and I can say, well, why am I being stubborn? And why would they think I'm being stubborn? Or I can just, avoid the situations, avoid these people, kind of not see them again, so people don't tell me that. And then I'm being lazy because I'm not trying to become a better person. So am I taking the easy route? And lastly, do we have the want but no effort? So yeah, I really want to work in the Vineyard of Jesus, but do I want it that bad? Am I really trying hard enough? Do I really have that will to do it? So it's not enough just to want. Remember, we're here at the 4 o'clock hour, our last hour to really work. So do we want to work? And the virtue of perseverance. So we did the vice, right, of laziness. Now let's persevere. Are you surrounded by difficulties and misfortune? Oh, I have too many things to do. I have this, I have so much baggage. I go to work, my boss yells at me. I go to home and my spouse yells at me. My kids are doing bad at school. I don't have time to, work on my inner reform. I don't have time for that. Is that an excuse? Is that valid? No. Simone, can you read?
Sure. The followers received the voluminous obligation from the divine masters, work for the common God, even so because the Father entrusted each corporator with the just and convenient material. Daily Bread, chapter 20.
So also in this book that we're going over. So there is no really excuse because God has given us all the things that we need to persevere and to grow. So let's not put excuses into our life. I already have so many obstacles and problems in my life. I don't have time to become a better person. That's like secondary. But we have to remember we want to have these both wings. So we want to also remember to focus on how we can improve ourselves. Even though you may have lots of problems in your life, you don't think you have time for it. We need dedication, patience, perseverance, and effort, obviously, to do these things, to become a better person. And it's not that you just are dedicated one time. Okay, I'm dedicated. I'm going to be perseverant now. No, it's like Chico Xavier said about forgiveness. How many times do you have to forgive? Anyone? 7 times? So it's the same thing for all these things, for all the virtues. We have to do it repeatedly. That's kind of what perseverance is you do it over and over and over again. That's what perseverance is. Like I'm doing my 4th macaroon until they are good. I also think about a seedling and perseverance. So how many seeds do we have in the world that are trying to grow? And there's so many obstacles in the environment. For example, rain. How much rain falls down a year? A little seedling is trying to come up. Oh, but the rain. What else do we have? You're in the park and you're walking. How many seeds are trying to grow? And we're just kind of like, especially in the redwood parks, right? They said that the trees don't grow very well when you stumble all over them. And then we also have bugs and diseases that the plants can kind of not survive. So there are a few plants that overcome all these obstacles. And that's the same thing for us to remember. There's so many obstacles, but we want to become that 1 or 2 trees that actually grow, that actually flourish because we persevere. So humbleness. That is our second virtue, humbleness. And remembering what? Enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude to receive what? What are we trying to receive? What is the wage? What is the 100? Feeling of a clear conscience. Oops. So, humbleness. What vices do we develop when we don't practice the virtue of humbleness? So what's the opposite of humbleness? What else? Selfishness. What? Pride, selfishness, jealousy, maybe lots of lists of things. So I'm going to be focusing on, yes, pride. So vice of pride. Man holds on to the illusion that the globe can be a stage of racial or political dominance. So lots of us believe that because the world is doomed because of all the politicians, or maybe because of all the leaders, or criminals who maybe are invading, you know, our space or our morals, or, you know, these kind of things. And we think, as the book says, that they're kind of like pirates, and they are kind of like sailing the ship, and we are their prisoners on the ship. It's like, here we go, pirate. So we think that everyone else is pirates. All these, let me say, politicians are all the mean people in the world. And they're leading with their pride. They're like, hey, you do this, you know. And they're like, hey, go scrub the deck. Go walk the plank, okay? But is it just them who are being pirates? Who else are pirates? We're pirates because we also lead with pride. You go home and you yell at your kids, hey, do this, hey, do this. Or you yell at your team member, no, I think that this is a better option. I know best. So every time that we lead with pride and selfishness, we are also pirates. So kind of instead of looking at other people's piracies and pointing fingers, for us to think about our piracies and for us to see what we can do to fix that. Peter says to Jesus, we have left everything to follow you. What then will there be for us? So again, very selfish, right? Lots of times we also say the same thing. What's in it for me? Am I going to do it? No, but it has to be something good for me. And that's not a very good worker in the Vineyard of Jesus, because we want to work no matter what, if we're getting something back or not. Because we're always getting back something. We're always going to get back what? Feeling ave, kill your conscience. The master replies, don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I'm generous? So who was complaining here? Mirchis? Mirchis, right? Where are you at? She's not here. Okay. So 6 a.m., workers were complaining that they didn't get as much money, right? And how many times are we envious for other people as well? And then we don't work. For example, if someone got a position at work that you wanted, are you going to be envious to that person? Maybe say, oh, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm going to go change jobs because that person got what I wanted. And then when we have these excuses, we don't work. And we want to work no matter what opportunities are given to us. Virtue of humbleness. The last will be the first. So a very good example I have of humbleness is when I was at the airport. So, as I like props here, imagine at the airport, you're in line with the security, and you're taking everything out, right? Here's my water. Oh, I have to separate my iPad. Oh, I have to take off my shoes. Oh, I have to, separate my toiletries. I have all these things. I'm in line, and I'm ready to go through the thing, and it's my turn, and I see there's no more bins. And I'm like, oh no, the security guard is going to yell at me because I'm not ready, and I'm holding up the line because there's no bin available for me to put all my stuff in here. And what happens? The lady behind me, who has pretty much nothing, she just has a little rolling suitcase, she goes to the next line, she grabs a whole bunch of bins, she gives me like 3, and then she uses it for herself, and she gives some to the people behind her. And I think it was just such a simple act of kindness and humbleness for her to do. She didn't have to go and get bins for everybody. She only had to get it for herself. And so such simple acts of kindness and of humbleness really help make the world a better place and to, help us become less of pirates. So first, always think about what can we do to be nice to others. Another very good act of humbleness that we do without even knowing it is when we're merged onto the freeway. You go, I go, you go, I go. So a very simple act of humbleness that we do without even thinking about it. Another thing that we can do to be humble is to thank God for all of our opportunities. Many times we think that something is on an opportunity and it really sucks. I know my best friend moved away and I don't have anybody to hang out with, and so it really sucks. But then later on down the road, you see that, because of that thing that happened, something else happened, another door opened. So for us to always remember that no matter what happens, even if we think it's not good, it's always an opportunity. Example of me, for example, to be humble and thankful for opportunity is that my mother-in-law is coming, and it always gives me some anxiety to have somebody in my house for so long, for 3 months, but for me to always be appreciative and thankful for the opportunity, because it's really going to help me when I need it the most. So for us to, even if we don't think that something is maybe the best that we want or the way we want it to be, for us to think of it as an opportunity, as I'm trying to, and it makes things much better. Last one is faith. And again, what are we working on? Enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude to receive what? The feeling of a clear conscience. What vices do we develop when we don't practice the virtue of faith? So opposite of faith.
Skepticism.
What else? It's a hard
Blind
one.
faith.
Blind faith. This is a hard one, I guess. I have a list of things. Skepticism, mistrust, rebellion, doubt, suspicion, fear, and complaining. So we have lots of things that are opposite of faith. And they murmured against the good man of the house. So again, the people who came at 6 a.m. said, hey, that's not fair. Why did the people who came, in the last hours get the same money that I did? So it's kind of like when we question God and we mistrust God and we don't have faith in God, that the things happening in our life are not fair, not the way that we want them to be. And then we're really mistrusting God because God knows what's best for us. So he knows what's going on in our lives, and for us to give him that trust and that faith. And so some phrases that we commonly say in our lives that kind of show a little mistrust and a little not faith for God, when we say things like this: I know best. This is not the way my life is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, this other way. God, why is this happening to me? It's not fair. It's not fair that I have to stay home and prepare this lecture while my husband goes out and have fun. It's not fair. I'm only going to get married if I find the perfect man who is handsome and, friendly and generous and likes the movies that I like. I'm only going to do things if they're like this. And lastly, I won't try it. I don't like broccoli. I've never tried it before, but I know I don't like it. So all these kinds of expressions that we use in our life, they're limiting us from working in the vineyard of Jesus, because we're saying, no, I'm not going to work because I don't like it, or this is not the way that I want it to be. And when we have trust and faith in God, we will understand the situations happening in our life are for a reason. And on to faith. The landowner promised to pay whatever is right. So I don't know if you guys heard the little detail that I said, that later during the day, he wasn't telling the workers how much he was going to pay them. But the workers came anyway because they trusted him. They had faith in him. They needed to work. They were idle. So they said, okay, I'll go anyway. So trusting in God, having faith in God, the situations happening in our life are for a good reason. The planet is not a floating ship without government. The laws that preside over the terrestrial home are expressed in complete harmony. So lots of times we think that the earth is in chaos because of the violence and because of all the terrible things that are happening. But if we flip the coin and we notice and we open our eyes, we can see that really Jesus is in the reign. He is sailing the ship, and everything happening is in harmony. Taking a look at this image, what do you guys see? Looks like it's going down into a crevice. Like, oh my gosh, scary. But really, it's just optical illusion. So same thing, we think that the planet is in chaos, but it's really not. It's just our optical illusion that we think that. All the sons of reason embodied on the surface of earth have brought with them the task of contributing to the achievement of a more elevated pattern of life in the quarter in which they temporarily act. So there are many role models and many examples in many areas in life, whether it's in science or philosophy or medicine, morals. So when we open our eyes and we see that there's these examples in the world, we will progress faster. We will have examples for us to follow, and we won't be proud because we'll see, hey, there's a better way to do things. I'm going to be able to get that feeling of a good conscience faster if I follow people's examples. Kind of like what these witches did. Ha ha ha. So they found out that electric mixers were much more efficient than stirring with spoons. So same thing for us. If we just kind of look at the examples that we have around us, we will progress faster. And just going recapping what we did. So if we have faith in God, if we trust God, that he loves us and he knows what's best for us, then we're going to be able to be more humble in the situations that come about in our lives. And therefore, we're going to be able to be more perseverant in these situations because we know why. We know why things are happening. And I like to compare this feeling that we've been talking about all night to a coconut. Where's my coconut? So if we, inside of this, what do we have? We have coconut water, right? If it's cold, it's going to be nice and fresh and yummy for us to drink. And it's kind of like this feeling, this reward. When we get inside, it's all the same for everybody. Just like the feeling. That's why everyone got paid the same. The feeling is the same for everybody. But how we open it, whether you throw it on the floor, get a knife or whatever, it's up to you. You can do really hard ways, or maybe you can go and Google it and find the best way. And to kind of make it a little bit funny here is a video of people trying to open a coconut. So this is kind of like us trying to go our way through and, you know, in doing our moral progress. Sometimes we get it wrong and sometimes we're super unsure, kind of like these people. Volume.
Good job. There you go. I feel like you have to consider it first.
So pretty much there's so many different ways, but we're so confused. Like, how do I get to this reward? And so really, for us to really focus on these 3 virtues that I was talking about today, for us to get that coconut water, and for us to try not to go, you know, in circles like these people are doing, but to kind of more focus, and for us to focus on the examples that we have in our life. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, and so, oh yes, the other thing is you can also take the easy route and you can go and buy some coconut water in like a box, right, with a little straw. That's easy way. We don't want the easy way. We want to actually go and crack open the coconut, you know, using our effort. That's the important part. We don't want to take the easy route and go buy some coconut water at the store. And for us to just end here, some reflections also from this book, for us to kind of reflect on some of the things that we have maybe learned tonight. And so I asked you guys to think a little bit as I read each of these questions. Am I working with enthusiasm, joy, and a good attitude so that I have a peaceful conscience as I take the steps to my self-improvement? What am I doing with the time that God has offered me to work for the good? Am I letting time pass, waiting to see if things end up in my favor? Am I working the best I can using the diverse opportunities that arise? Am I using the talents that were given to me? Do I truly want to be a good worker in the vineyard of Jesus? Wherever you are, remember that you are standing in the vineyard of Jesus. Nice little grapes over here, my little vineyard here. And the references, I have some here. Our Daily Bread, which is what this talk was about, chapter 29, the vineyard. I have the Parable of the Workers. You can find it in the Bible in Matthew. This book that's only in Portuguese, Therapeutic Parables, the Gospel According to Spiritism, and the Spirit's Book. So that's our lecture for tonight. Thank you guys very much. And we will be going